Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rev Talk. Today we have another exciting story for you, and we'll see what we shall learn. I'm Reverend Beverly, and this is Reverend Kim. Take it away.
So you and I were talking about a rather what Reverend Vanessa loves to say is a juicy topic, you know, which I don't know, for some reason that word gets me. I don't know, it's like ew, you know. But it's true. It is true. It's all about relationships, respect for ourselves, and stepping into that self-care mode, which a lot of us have issues with, where we've been told most of our lives, oh, you know, it's better to give than to receive, and you should not be thinking of yourself, you should always be thinking of someone else. And you know, so there's always this giving. And I remember, and I will admit to this, in my in my one therapy session a while ago, it was like picture like a jar of jelly beans, you know, and you're giving jelly beans away until you have nothing left. So, you know, what do you do then? But it's a matter of, you have to refill your jelly bean jar.
That's a good analogy, though.
Sticking with that, you have to replenish yourself, and you have to care for yourself. And there is that, you know, if you don't love yourself, how can you possibly love anybody else? And for a long time I thought, well, that's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I can love everybody, but I find the more I love myself, the easier it is for me to just open up and love, you know, aspects of everybody that before I might have been like kind of judgy, or, you know.
That's beautiful, because you just made an example. The more you love yourself, the more you love others, because you are a vessel of love, like the jelly beans. And we don't see that. And so the analogy on the jelly beans now turns from jelly beans to love, and it spews forth without depleting us, because we're full.
Right. So with relationships, especially, you know, intimate relationships with, you know, a partner, or, you know, even family, it gets to be like a lot of women I know, the role of mother and wife is they're always giving, they're always doing, they're always sacrificing, it's this whole kind of martyr pattern that we were
That's raised in.
right, that we were taught, this is how it's supposed to be. And with the energies the way they are now, it's like it is not going to sustain you. You have to come from yourself, you know, in order to sustain you. And in hand, be the example for the younger people, to say, you know what, it's okay to take care of yourself. As a matter of fact, it's important to take care of yourself, you know, because you're pretty much the only person you really can take care of.
You are.
Right.
There is the exception, is when you're infants to adulthood, you're being taught how to take care of yourself. But from then, it is you, 100% you, and you are responsible for everything that enters your life from that situation.
Absolutely. Well, my father used to say this, because I would come back and I'd say, well, that's not what you did. You know, he'd say, do as I say, not as I do. And it's like, you know what? It doesn't work that way. You know, actions speak louder than words. So when you see someone doing something and then they say the opposite, you're more than likely going to go with what they've done. And that's what kids are learning from their parents. You know, "Oh, my mom sacrifices everything, so that's what I need to do." No, we need to change that.
We need to look at the whole picture, because without that, we're lost. And that's what we're trying to do right now. You must love yourself so you can love others.
Exactly. Exactly. So I was reading this excerpt that I got from Shelley Young, who does the Archangel Gabriel channelings, and she sends them out. So let's see, I'm going to read. Let's see. It was all about narcissists and having the narcissistic experience. So one of the things is here: being a giving and loving person by nature and having a strong service contract are wonderful traits to have. What is seeking to be brought into balance is including yourself in your own care and service. The narcissist experience serves you by moving as far out of balance as necessary to finally force you to do just that. And that is why it is so prevalent among empaths. You know.
So in essence, it's forcing you to do everything against your grain until you say enough is enough and you take the other path.
And enough is enough. I'm going to take care of myself, you know, first, because, you know, like so many people, they give and they give and they give, and they get very little in return. Again, the jelly beans, you know, you give and give and give. Well, you're the only one that can replenish the jelly bean jar. Nobody else will do that. You know, that's not for them to do. That's for you to do. So it's the same thing. You need to take care of yourself and love yourself and fill that vessel up before you can even go out and think about, you know, helping anybody else.
It's interesting because we do that without realizing it. It's just an even exchange of the energy. But when you see someone else doing it and not accepting it and depleting themselves, it's so hard not to say anything. And then we go back to that circle. You can't tell somebody how to live their life.
Right. That's, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about that. It takes divine love to watch that person and allow them to make their choices and live their life with their choices and not step in. It's divine love. It is huge unconditional love that you are giving that person to make their choices. And again, you don't have to like them. You don't have to, you know, agree with them.
There you go.
You do have to honor it though, because it is their life and their choices.
And that's the best thing to remember right there, because it gives you the excuse not to feel guilty, not to feel, well, I should do something, because you're walking your straight path.
Absolutely. Well, and well, and I guess, I don't know, the word excuse means like you're gonna, you know, you're skirting, you're getting away with something, and that's not it. It's you have acknowledged your divine self in that situation, and also acknowledged them in their divine self in that situation.
Instance. Yeah, it's the namaste. I see in you what you have in you. So we are one.
Right.
It's the same principle. So that's interesting that everything comes back full circle to you.
Exactly.
We're the catalyst.
Exactly.
Why
Well,
we have to shine.
and again, we are that powerful.
Yes.
You know,
You don't realize it. You know, that's the whole thing.
Well, we're busy distracting ourselves, living small lives. I mean, I'm big on that. I'm big on distracting myself and living a small life. So it's like, ooh, so open up those doors and just step through, because we are that powerful. We can make changes that are necessary in ourselves,
It's where it all begins.
and thereby showing other people it's okay for them to live their lives taking care of themselves.
Just totally off topic, but that reminded me the same scenario. My granddaughter chose not to wear a mask to school. She says, those aren't laws, Nana. Those are government telling you how to live your life. Thinking, okay, she's hearing this from the parents. And then she goes to school. She gets kicked out of school. The principal calls her mother. So Lindsay goes, and what happens? Lindsay goes in. Teacher didn't have a mask on, but she's 6 feet away from the children. Okay. Then she goes into the office to get her daughter. 3 out of the 5 secretaries, no masks. She goes into the principal's office, and the principal doesn't have a mask on. So Lacey went to school the following day, and the following day, no mask. She's still in school. They have no right, no legal right to not teach her. She does put it on when she goes outside. She goes, because the boys spit, and when they get running and playing and yelling, they spit, and I don't want spit on me. But when she sits in the classroom, and I've noticed the change in her speech pattern, having the mask on versus not. And it's amazing. I don't know if anyone else has done it, or they're just letting her slide by it, but it's an interesting concept to see how we all do and follow what everybody says instead of thinking for ourselves and listening to our inner guidance on how to respond and react to situations. And by doing that, that's made her stronger, and she may have shined her light to somebody else. So that person doesn't feel bad and doesn't say, oh, I can't go to school because I can't get the vaccine because it's against my religion or whatever. But that person then can start to love themselves and not think that they're different.
Right.
And what we're trying to do in the whole scenario is take it back to us, let them have their choices, but continue to love and spread it out. And it does.
So
Why that?
no, that's perfect. That's
Good.
perfect. But when you said her whole speech pattern has changed,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
She slurs her words, doesn't enunciate.
When she's wearing a mask or when she's
Mhm.
not?
Well, when she's got the mask on, she talks that way. So when the mask's off, she talks as if the mask is gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she's used to always having that cloth on her face. Yeah.
Oh, so she still slurs her speech even when the
Mhm.
mask is off. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Huh.
So, but it was an interesting scenario, and I was surprised. At first I was, upset, and I thought, oh, that's not right. Kids got to obey the rules. But then
Whose
it
rules?
worked out. Yeah, it worked out. Yes. See that again.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. You will always be balanced internally if you follow universal laws.
True.
And, I'm just, the 4 agreements, it's the same scenario. If you do simple little steps like that and stay within those 4 agreements, you're within the universal principles, and it's hard. I mean, it's like be impeccable with your words. Well, that means no gossip, don't talk bad about anybody. Always do your best is easy. Always tell the truth. And I always forget, don't take anything personally. We all do. We take offense
Oh, yeah, that's tough for
at
me.
something, and then it triggers us.
Right.
And
But then
always never assume.
oh, yeah. That's
understand something, because everybody does.
there's that whole, what we've been, there's so many rules.
My deer are back.
See, told you they'd come back. Told you they didn't lose the house like I do in my dreams.
They don't lose the house or the car.
Or, oh my gosh, or their room, or I don't know what that means, but honestly, it's frustrating as all get out.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. So yes, I have to laugh. Oh my gosh. Because I am not, for most instances, I'm really not a rule breaker. Always got to abide by the rules,
You're raised that way.
abide by the rules. You're not going to single yourself out. You don't stand out in the crowd. All of those things. And now it's like, wait a minute. I'm beginning to think that maybe some of these rules are a little bit arbitrary.
You're beginning to think for yourself.
Oh my gosh, it's taking me long,
Yes.
right? So yeah, and and again, I mean, as far as self-esteem is concerned, and self-worth, I'm kind of low, but working my way up. So it is nice to know that, and it feels better. It feels right. It feels empowering when you take care of yourself, and don't worry about what anybody else says or thinks. That's not my concern. That's theirs. They get to figure out why it bothers them, not me.
Yeah.
I don't need to defend myself. So it's rather freeing when you do that. So take that to heart. Keep your jelly bean jar full for you. And then you can share with others too.
Yeah, self-esteem is another really important area, because unless you had exceptional parents, the raising of children has changed so much. Because I used to get, be quiet, don't do this, go sit here. You can't do that, because it downtrodden's all the spirit that the children have. And kids have a lot of spirit now, but I think it's because the parents aren't around. They only get them, a few hours at night, but it has to be built up. It is something you have to work on daily. And one of the hardest things I was taught in one of my classes was to get up in the morning and look myself in the eye in the mirror and tell myself, I love you just the way you are. You're perfectly imperfect. Or imperfect, yeah. And it just took me probably 3 or 4 days until I could even say that, because that eye contact. And then when I went to a Deepak Chopra thing, we had to sit, they just paired us off with strangers we'd never seen, and we had to sit eye level and say the same thing, I love the spirit within you. Yeah. It's really, really hard. So this is where you have to learn that it's okay to love yourself.
Yeah, it's important. I mean,
it's part of the process.
It's step one. Basically, it is step one, is to love yourself where you are and who you are. Love yourself, because on the other side, there's nothing but love. I mean, it is all love. So, all of this is all foreign. So we get here, and now, we're inundated with, you should look like this, and, you need to be thin like this, and you need to be smart like this. And, and you're beaten down with all of that. And it's like, my gosh, no wonder everybody's like hunched over and, walking down there weighted down with all of that.
Right.
Throw it off and again, like you said, look in the mirror.
Yes.
And if it takes you to find one thing that you love, about yourself. Pick that one thing first, because other things will come along. I love to laugh. I love my laugh. I love laughing, so that to me, I will do that. If I'm like this morning, I was so annoyed with that stupid dream. And I like in the bathroom washing my face, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just laugh this off, because and when I laugh, I feel better. So
That is so true. That's so good.
but you're right.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. The practice to every day is to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself.
Mhm.
Fill up the jelly bean jar, right?
That's right. I'm going to remember. I'm going to get a jar and put jelly beans in it.
Awesome.
And then we take one out as we do something for somebody else and one out for us.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And since we're the only ones that can replenish you when you need to.
That's right.
That's awesome. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Uh,
So what do you think, dear?
I feel very complete. I love myself just the way I am.
I love you just the way you are too.
Thank you.
Oh, with that, my friends, thank you for joining us. And just try to remember that you are unique in all the universe. There will never be another just like you. You are powerful, you are cherished, and you are loved. And without you, the song of the universe would be incomplete. Until next time, my friends.
Bye.